Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Know Your Daughter 2 item series. In a previous episode, we started covering items from armor, upgraded items. We covered Vanguard, and this episode will start with Blade Mail, and maybe, let's see if we could cover one more. Nice. Blade Mail is an item purchasable at base shop under armor. We'll be looking at additional information, ability, recommended heroes, tips, item synergy, gallery, recent changes. First, card view, shall we? It costs 2100 gold, which includes 550 recipe cost. Sell value is 1050 gold. Active ability is damage return. Passive ability is damage return. Passive. Bonuses are plus 7 armor, plus 18 attack damage. It's not shareable, you cannot disassemble it. It does not give any usage alert. This recipe requires broadsword, chainmail, and recipe. And altogether makes blade mail. Now, moving into additional information from content. Multiple instances of damage return from blade mail do not stack. Okay. Fully stack with other no reflection damage sources. Okay. Other no reflection damage sources. So ability damage return, no targeted ability affects enemies. Damage type source. Damage source type is no reflection. For 5.5 seconds, damage returned from all sources is increased by 85%. Whoa. Damage return 85%. Duration for 5.5 seconds. Cooldown 25 seconds. Mana costs 25. Does not interrupt caster's channeling abilities upon cast. Upon cast causes blade mail to reflect 105% of attack damage taken plus flat value. Also causes blade mail to react on other instances of damage besides attack damage, returning 85% of damage taken. Returns 3 damage types but not self-inflicted damage and HP removal effects. For example, Cinder, Soul Ring, etc. Returns the same damage type as its move. Damage type passive. Passive ability affects enemies. Damage type source type no reflection. Every time you are attacked, you return 20 damage plus 20% of attack damage dealt to you. Okay, so every time you are attacked, you return 20 damage plus 20% of attack damage dealt to you. Wow. Base return damage 20. Damage taken as return damage 20%. Only reacts on attack damage. Other sources of damages are ignored. Alright. So physical damage basically. Returns incoming damage before all manipulations. However, damage manipulation on enemies still affects the damage normally. Reflected physical damage is affected by damage block as well. Return damage is always dealt right after incoming damage. Return damage has no reflection flag, preventing its damage from interacting with other sources of damage with same flag. Fully procs on damage effects except those which have a minimum damage threshold, e.g. Gravekeeper's Cloak. Damage has no spell lifesteal flag, preventing its damage from utilizing spell lifesteal. Damage has no spell amplification flag, preventing its damage from being amplified with spell damage amplification. Returns damage back to its sources. This means damage done by summons is reflected back to summons, not to their sources, not to their owner. That makes sense. Yeah, damage return has a global range and affects units through Fog of War or invisibility. So it has a global range and affects units through Fog of War or invisibility. Does not work against words, buildings, and allied units. So, okay. So recommended heroes list. Axe. If taking counter helix damage was not enough of punishment for attacking Axe, then Blade Mill will make sane people cry. few heroes can take damage from both abilities out now, and Blade Mill continues to be lethal in late game, unlike counter helix, which scales off. Yeah. Bristleback, a highly durable hero. His namesake Bristleback helps him last longer in teamfights. Combined with Blade Mail, this provides him a significant increase in both offense and defense. Sure. Clockwork, similar to Axe and Legion Commander, Clockwork can stop heroes from running away from him and force this engagement while continuously barraging enemy with battery assault. Having Blade Mill makes it so much worse for them, as Clockwork's high health pool makes it very unlikely that he will die first. Clockwork also benefits from all stats Blade Mill provides. Extra armor is very vital, as Clockwork is otherwise short in armor. Extra attack damage let him hit harder with his right leg. Aye. Elder Titan pairs really well with natural order. Elder Titan loves to be in middle of fight. Elder Titan. 4, yeah. Enchantress. She can heal up quickly and will slow any direct attacker, thanks to her passive, forcing anyone to cast strong spells on her to deal significant damage only to get reflected back at them. Legion Commander. Duel forces enemies to engage Legion Commander head-on and attack her without pause, maximizing Blade Mill's efficiency if she's using it. Necroforce, having a natural heal ability, Death Pulse can slip away and healing process easily. Spectre, already having a damage reflected ability dispersion. Spectre ensures no one touches her as long as the play period is active. Wraith King, enduring tons of damage, Wraith King can have breathing space. Tips. It is a powerful counter against Bloodthorn and Silver Edge to prevent enemies from attacking you while under debuff. Enemies with a copious amount of damage resistance or high health could very easily ignore Blade Mill's ability. Heroes like Ursa, Spectre, Abaddon are good examples of side resistant heroes, as are items such as Pipe of Insight or Heart of Trust. It can be useful to get Blade Mill if you get outcarried to counter DPS and turn enemies' damage against them. Buy it as a counter if opposing team has high damage, crit nukes, attack speed, and have low health. If timed properly, same heroes can get killed just from their own damage. Some heroes can get killed just from their own damage. And even if you cannot do that, it could make enemy hesitant to attack you for 5.5 seconds. A good situation to use Blade Mill is if you are inflicted with a heavy damage over time ability. For example, you can kill or severely damage Bloodseeker by walking around Rapture, or Tinker by staying under his march of machines. However, to make sure that you yourself can take damage you'll be receiving, else you'll be helping enemy instead. So be sure that you do be able to take that. Otherwise, no point in trying. Return damage is only dealt to unit who attacks. Therefore, attack case mines, witch doctors, death ward, and shadow shamans, mass serpent ward won't affect their main hero as they are considered separate units. Okay. Since Blade Mill returns damage on unit that attacks owner, you can use Book of the Dead units to attack, and the melee Necronomicon warrior will die quicker to return 800 damage. What happened here? Since Blade Mill returns damage on units that attack owner, you can use Book of the Dead units to attack, and melee Necronomicon warrior will die quicker to return 800 damage. Interesting. This is a commonly brought item for initiator heroes that can soak up some damage, commonly strength heroes, such as Clockwork or Spirit Breaker. Blade Mail is less effective with evasion and attack slow because it reduces hits you receive, thus damage you can return. It reduces damage you can return, so for evasion, okay. It also loses effectiveness against enemies who can turn themselves or their allies invulnerable with abilities like Phase Shift, Astral Imprisonment, or Yield Scepter Divinity, as Blade Mail cannot damage invulnerable units. It is an ultimate counter against heroes who rely on critical strikes such as Phantom Assassin, Bounty Hunter, Wraith King, etc. Also against Crystalist or its upgrade Daedalus. Items synergy, the blade, blink dagger, and force staff. These are good ganking initiation items. Mask of Madness will protect you from being attacked while under the buff of Mask of Madness. Crimson Guard gives you more armor and damage block, allowing you to return more physical damage than you take, since it gets reflected before reduction. Same applies to magic resistance to any other sources of damage reduction. For example, even if incoming damage is fully blocked by spells like Borrow Time, Blade Mail still reflects full damage. What? So activating Blade Mail is how it looks. And the recent changes reduced attack damage bonus from 20 to 18 in 7.3 for D versions. In 7.3 versions, reduced attack damage bonus from 28 to 20, which is even reduced to 18 in 7.3 for D. Increased armor bonus from 6 to 7. And 7.3 to D, damage return no longer interrupts channeling abilities upon cast. Increased damage return from 80% to 85%. Cool. Stays true still. That's it, fellas. We covered quite a lot today. Blade Mail. In the next episode, we will talk about Aeon Disc. Yeah. It's also going to be a quite good read. Until then, be good to yourself and everybody around you, both in game and out game. Last but not least, good game, everybody. Good game.